Hello, Mr. Aaron Smith.
Hi, Jason
Happy
Thomas.
Monday.
Happy Monday indeed. Welcome back to the PWBA podcast. How's it going, JT?
Doing pretty well. Not quite as good as Wesley Lowe, but my weekend wasn't quite as special, but it was fun. I had a good time.
Yeah, pretty crazy news. Definitely some exciting days on the bowling landscape. So Wesley firing a little old 900.
Yeah. It reminds me of a story that Glenn Allison. I used to bowl league with Glenn Allison. We were on the same team, and we were in a bar after league had ended, and a bunch of young guys who didn't know the history of bowling very well were having conversations about kind of bragging about their high 800 series, and one's like, "Hey, I had an 859 here, and I had an 860 here," and it gets around, "Hey, Glenn, what's your high 800?" He looks up from his Crown Royal and says, "I have a low 9." So Wesley Lowe now has a low 9. Get it? Low 9.
I love it. Love it. Fantastic. Congratulations to Wesley. The two-handed lefty stealing all the thunder from the two-handed righties on the PBA show. So some fun in bowling for sure. JT, what is your high series?
My high series? I don't even really know. I couldn't even tell you.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
I got so many of them there.
Yeah.
They're all up there.
I do have, I want to say 20-some 800 series, but I don't know what the high one is. Because a lot of them I bowl in tournaments. Mm-hmm. So you're not really like thinking about, I just bowled an 847 here. You're just thinking about, hey, I'm 240 over for the last 3. But it's probably somewhere in like the 830 to 840 range. Like I don't have anything stupid high, but so it's probably 830 something, 840 something, low 840.
Not too shabby.
Not a low 9.
No low 9s here. All right. With that, someone who knows a thing or two about throwing some strikes, our guest today on the PWBA podcast, episode 31. Let's bring her in, ROCIO.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Thanks for having me. How are you?
We're doing well.
We're doing all right.
Good.
How are you?
Hi, everybody. Good. Just chilling at home, like everyone, I think, that is not allowed to go out, and trying to make the best of this 2020 year because there is a lot of unknowns out there, but just working as hard as always.
Nice.
Excellent. How have things been for you and Joe over the past few months? How have you guys been staying busy?
Well, Joe has been pretty busy. He finally became a doctor of pharmacy.
Oh, that's awesome.
So he graduated. He got a new position, a residency. He was looking into that. There was a lot of planning before this because that was something that it wasn't really something that he wanted to do. But with this COVID situation, it came at the right time and it was a good opportunity to take. So he's excited about that. And I'm excited that he gets to work and, take care of us, since right now we can't really compete and do a lot of the stuff that I like to do.
Are all the bowlers already asking him for prescriptions for stuff?
they message him, but just to ask questions about medications. He's pretty smart. So if you guys have any questions, just let him know.
Yeah, and he's honest, so I know he wouldn't be writing scripts for things that people shouldn't be taking.
Yep. No.
Well, Ro, we'll start talking a little bowling here. 2019, I know, was a bit of a rough season for you. You battled some health injuries throughout the course of the year, but you kind of finished in a strong spot, having a nice performance in Orlando, making the TV show on the way to a 3rd place finish. Kind of talk about some of the struggles you had throughout the course of the season last year, but what did it mean to kind of finish up strong and make TV to kind of wrap up the year?
Well, to be honest, the 2019 season was such a roller coaster in my life as a bowler. I was used to not missing or cashing pretty much any weekend or any week. Prior to that, I think I missed cashing 1 event or 2 events, and I was usually top 32, top 15. Like I was making every top 12, and I started the season here in Cleveland. I just missed making top 32, which I always knew that if I made top 32, I could strike the next day and make top 12. Like that was always something that I looked forward to, and to know that I was like not even coming close to top 32. I'm like, what's going on? Like what's happening in Minnesota? The next weekend, I missed another cut in the last game, and I knew my endurance wasn't really there. I mean, prior to that, I had surgery. It was a pretty rough surgery. It was supposed to be something simple, but I developed all these different things afterwards that I didn't make much of it. At the beginning of the season, I'm like, I'm gonna get better, but instead of getting better, I was getting worse, which made me travel to Colombia because I wasn't getting answers here in the US and all the appointments were delayed. And I'm like, I need to get back in bowling shape so I can go back on tour. I had to unfortunately withdraw from 3 or 4 events. After that, I came back. I made one cut before the US Open, so I was excited. The US Open didn't go as I expected it. But during the US Open, actually, I got news about my health, and we were able to make a lot of progress. I was losing weight pretty rapidly, and I didn't know why. And it was because of bacteria that I had in my stomach. They treated that, and I started actually gaining weight pretty fast.
Did you save some of that bacteria that I might be able to borrow so I can lose weight?
You don't want to have that.
I know you want to lose weight the right way. I know.
Yeah.
So sorry. Go ahead. Keep going.
But yeah, I felt, so I started feeling better. I started putting some muscle on and some weight on, and I actually had the opportunity to go in Connecticut. I had to bowl, which I didn't want to, bowl for my spot into the elite field because that was the first time for me. I'm like, seriously, I'm usually top 10 on tour, and I'm here battling my my position to make it into the tournament. But it was a pretty experience. I think like it opened up my eyes to see what I needed to do mentally and physically, and it led to like a lot of great performances throughout this season. After the season and at the end of that 2019 season, I'm glad that I'm feeling better. I know that there were some mental issues as well, because when you're feeling bad, everything just kind of goes into that cycle as well. But I was lucky to come back as strong, and Connecticut actually kind of pushed that momentum. I had a really good experience as well when I had the opportunity to represent the PWBA in New York for the Folks and Friends show.
Mm-hmm.
I think that all kind of gave me just a prettier view to what I'm capable of doing and the opportunities that I got, all that. And then just bowling good in Orlando, I started striking again, and I'm like, this is me. I'm here striking. I was making pretty much all my spares, and I almost bowled my way into out of the show the last day because the lanes got a little harder. And I remember telling their reps, they were like, switch balls. And I'm like, no, I'm going to a good pair. I can pop a big number here, and I'm going to make it. And sure enough, I shoot 279, and they are like, okay, Ro, do whatever you want, you know? So I was excited about that. And then obviously that led to the great performance at Worlds. I knew it could have been better at Worlds, but unfortunately I can't control some of the parent situations and who I have to follow. I think that had a big, it held me back from making top 2024 at the World Championships. I was put in some different squads where the scores weren't as high, but that was part of, being sick and having to miss so many events. No one really knew what I was capable of doing at that point, because I could feel good or feel bad at any point. But it led to a good performance after that. The last event that the last major event, the Players Championship. I was pretty upset because I didn't make it, obviously, into Richmond. That was my first time missing that event. But after that, I actually started bowling really well, and I won national championships in Colombia. I won team trials. So I've been pretty sharp for the most part after that and taking care of my health. We have had some other answers into why I was having all those issues. So I'm finally in the right path and I'm taking care of all that. But it's pretty exciting to know that I was like, is it me? Is it really me? Because I know I put the time. I don't feel like I was feeling that I had no endurance throughout the performances. And I'm like, I can't be out here when I work out, but I feel like it's not helping at all. And it was literally, I could not focus. I couldn't sleep much because of all these health issues that I had going on. So it was like an awakening moment in my life, I should say, just to sometimes as athletes, we push ourselves too hard. That's why I try not to follow too much of what other people do or what other players do, because sometimes we put these personas out there that we are doing this and that, but that does not mean that that's what you need to do to be the best or to be in better shape. And I have learned the hard way, I should say, that sometimes I push myself too hard. So I have learned to actually back down a little bit and just listen to my body.
Yeah, you talked a little bit there about a lot of things, but one of the things you talked about was just getting sharp, and so I'm wondering, how long, when you were able to come back after the injury, did it take you to feel like you were in tournament ready mode, sharp mode again? And then, secondarily, do you think when we all come back from, this layoff that we've all been forced to have, is that going to give you an advantage when you come back because you've been through that process?
Well, to be honest, when I came back and I started feeling better, the fact that I was able to push a lot harder on the lanes, it actually only took me like 3 or 2 weeks of really, really good practice. Our brains, when you are at this level, your brain is designed to repeat something that you already know. It already knows how it feels, so it just takes building that connection between your brain and your body of how that feels. And to do that, you need repetition. So sometimes that's why we need to practice and we need to, stay in shape and stay healthy. The biggest thing I feel with this whole COVID-19 is when we take so long to throw a bowling ball, some of the little mistakes that we were working on in the past won't be the same when we come back and when we're throwing the bowling ball again. Because if you were not able, like myself, I wasn't as able to work out as hard, like lifting weights and all that, like push myself to that, building that muscle. The biggest thing I notice is you lose a lot of strength at the release. And like for me, I usually have to think of, I need to stay behind the ball a little longer. And in this situation, actually, was I need to rotate it more because my hand was getting so flat. So that's why it's so important to have coaches that know our games and can help with the little things. And at this level, little things make a huge difference in our games. And I have the opportunity to work with one of the best, Fred Borden. He's always there, and he sees those, he call it little mosquitoes, but when you have 5 little mosquitoes on your game, it's like a huge thing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But yeah,
2 mosquitoes drive me nuts.
I know.
So I can only imagine 5.
But I feel like the biggest thing with COVID is the visualization is huge at home, but actually getting to throw the bowling ball, our thumbs are not going to feel the same. I think a lot of people are going to have to change their spans a little. The finger grips might be too loose. Don't be afraid to put tape and just give time to your body to get used to it. especially if you compete at the highest level. It takes, I would say that it usually takes about 3 or 4 weeks to start feeling like yourself again.
Yeah, well, one other thing that, it was a consequence of the events that you missed last year was, we had the PWBA teams that were invited to the PBA League draft. And, you've, like you said, I think your lowest season has been 10th in the point list. And, even one season you were even, second. And you're typically, right around, 5 or 6. Whereas this season, because you weren't able to compete as much, you were a little lower on the point list and ended up not being picked. Was that a bummer for you? I'm sure it was, but what, if so, why? Because I think, there were quite a few players that really could have been picked that weren't, that were out of the top 10 this last season for whatever reason. And B, what do you think the ladies' chances are in the competition?
Well, to the first question, yes, it was a bummer because I feel like the two coaches kind of knew me well. And to be honest, I have been part of very successful teams in the past. Like Wichita State, we were ranked number 1, 2, 3 for 4 years. The 4 years I was there, I was anchor of the team at some point. We made huge wins at some point. Like the 1 year, I had to strike out 7 out of 8 times to give the team a chance. And that was when I was only 21. And then we have been the Colombian national team. We have been the top in the American zone. And I have played a huge role in that team. And I was a Pan-American champion. Like I have bowled pretty good. So a season should not define who I am as an athlete and as a player, especially because if you look at my performances at the end of the year, I was pretty much top 10 in those 3 events where I felt pretty good. So to know that the coaches didn't look outside, and I know that my personality fits well with any team, just because I'm always been and I always will be a mediator on a team, and I push a team as hard as I can. I'm very respectful of my teammates as a whole, and my passion and my drive is led a lot of teams to success. So I think not only me, but like I feel like there were some athletes that were like Kelly Killick as well. I felt like she's a pretty strong competitor, and she's been pretty strong for a long time. But I understand what they did it. Some of them have some experience with some of the athletes. I noticed that
she's also had some success against the men, as the poster behind me would indicate.
Yes. I mean, I have no fear against the guys either. Like I know I compete out there all the time.
Yeah, we actually bowled in a PBA tournament. That was when I met Rocio for the first time. We actually crossed together in Fountain Valley in a PBA national tour stop, and I think we both bowled really badly that week. But as well as Ryan Simonelli, I think we were all like more than 200 under, if I remember. They were really hard that week, though.
Yeah, and double.
We had fun. We had a good time.
Yeah, I mean, I go out there, I can compete. I feel like it is what it is. Obviously, I'll come back stronger, and I know I'll get back to the position I know I belong.
I'm pretty sure you were high on the pair that week, too, between the 3 of us.
And I had like 3 bowling balls, I think. So, but yeah, and the answer to your second question about how the girls are going to do, I believe that the top 10 girls that are out there are going to do a good job. I mean, we have a lot of strong athletes that are top 10, of course. That's who they pick. And a lot of them have a lot of experience with the men as well. I'm not sure the dynamics of the teams, how they're going to be. And I mean, a lot of these guys have been out there and compete with each other and know each other's games a lot. This will be the women's first time. So I'm hoping they do really good. I'm not sure like the position. I'm hoping they win it all and they beat everybody, because I support the girls all the time. But I know competing against the guys can be tricky. Sometimes the lanes get pretty hard. They strike a lot, and I know those scores out there are pretty high. But I have no doubt that these ladies can bowl. And I've seen some of the teams, they pick kind of illustrator players that play kind of the same angles. I don't know if it's that if that's a strategy, so they can stay away from the guys, which is actually pretty good as well, you know. But I'm not sure of the exact position. I'm hoping they win.
Yeah,
but I know.
I think if they win, there's no way they're not going to invite them back again, right?
Oh yeah, for
So,
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's root for that.
Yep.
Absolutely. Now, Ro, you mentioned
they're gonna give a good fight. Sorry.
You mentioned your success as a team player over the years, and obviously, Colombia has had a ton of success, as you mentioned, across the board. But the big win in 2019 at the World Championships, really a big moment for the team, for the country. We talked to Clara, we talked to Maria on the podcast, kind of about that moment, about that win. So I'm curious to hear that side of the story from you. Just what the experience was like to go down the stretch and to be able to collect that gold medal. Something Team Colombia had been trying to do for forever.
Yeah, I mean, that event was full of emotions for all of us. I know that for me, it was like my kind of comeback moment from the season. I was just trying to make the best of it. Unfortunately, some of the events didn't go like I wanted them to go. Like some of the singles events, I bowled pretty well, but the scores on my squad were way lower than B squad, and that happens in our sport. And unfortunately, I did not think I was gonna be paired up in the morning. I believed that I was gonna be maybe in the afternoon, but the next day, Maria and I made a huge comeback in doubles. We were actually like, I think, only like 20 over, the two of us, and we both fired like 780s and 760s to take the lead at the event. So that's how much we can strike and we can work as a team. Through those events I thought I was gonna be put on the A team at the moment, but that did not happen, and I respect the decision of the coach. But that all kept building up momentum for team event, and when we got to team event, we were doing pretty good, and I remember we struggled the second day of team event. We bowled really bad on the first game of that squad, and we actually were bowling our ways out of the team event. And it came down to the last game. We all needed to strike. We all needed to have a huge game, and I remember I had a horrible ball reaction because I shot 170, 170 back to back, and that's why I missed top 24. And at that point, I'm like, I don't care. I'm giving everything I have to make sure that our team has a chance to make it. I want to give it all. And sure enough, we shot 240 to something, and we ended up making it. And once we got into the finals, I remember we were a little upset before team event because we lost almost every event. So doubles, we ended up finishing third. Trios, the girls finished second. And so team event, we were like, there's no way we're gonna win this thing, because we already knew the pair, we knew what we could do, and we all had experience on the pair. We just needed to make good shots. For me personally, I remember 2 years ago we bowled bad. We didn't bowl bad. I bowled bad as a team. In the team event, I was having issues with my timing, and we ended up bowling bad, and we didn't get to move into the finals because I kept missing spares. And I promised myself that when I was going to be in that position again, I was not going to disappoint my team. And sure enough, every time they needed me to strike, I was there for them. I remember that last game, they came up to me and they were, you got to strike, because if you don't strike, we don't have life. If you don't strike, we can't strike out. So I was like, oh man. And I just kept on striking. I think on the finals, I struck every shot I needed. So I was like, and people say, well, you were the third one. It does not really matter. I feel like people don't realize what's going on because if I don't strike, they don't have a chance. So I have to strike no matter what. And those things are some of the things that people don't talk about. They always say, oh, it's the person that comes into the anchor position. I'm like, no, I have given my team the opportunity to strike and to have a chance at winning, because everyone in a team event, everyone's performance matter. If the person doesn't shoot the spur, if I don't strike. So I remember that the moment I struck, I told Clara, you got this. And she was overthinking a little bit on her shot. And I said, you are a world champion. All you need to do is strike. You don't have the greatest reaction, as you said, but how many times have you struck with the worst reaction of your life? It does not matter. The ball does not matter. It's you. You're a champion. So you're a warrior. You're going to get this. And her face just changed completely. And she's like, okay. And she pured that shot, and Maria then came in and struck, and we were champions. I remember crying. It was so much adrenaline going on and so many emotions because we've never won. We've always finished third, second, and yep, that was me. It was crazy because I knew that I had failed my team prior in that same building, and I said, that's the last time, and I delivered. So it was a huge weight off my chest, and to know that I was part of a team that was successful, and it was a lot of fun. We've known each other for so long, and we've always came close, but we needed that, and it was all built in respect and confidence in each other's games. And I'm so happy that we were able to accomplish that, especially after such a rough year that I had. That was just an amazing feeling to know that the team was able to put it together. And the wins that we have had in the past as the Pan American champions 2 years in a row, and all that we've done in the past, it just led to that huge moment, and that marked like a huge accomplishment for us as a country, but also as a team. It was the first time everything clicked, and we were able to get the breaks that we needed to win as well.
Yeah, you made a really good point there that I want to go into a little deeper. And I know Aaron's got some more questions about the team stuff, but if we could just take a little moment here. You said something in there about, giving Clara some advice on just making a good shot. And it's something I always say to people. The thing that separates a good player from a great player is a great player will know when it's time to stop looking for ball reaction and just make a great shot or a couple of great shots, because that's what gets you over the hump. Is that something that you monitor when you're bowling singles competitions? And then at what point do you decide, because you can't win a bowling tournament by making great shots for 40 games. The players are just too good, and somebody's going to have a good ball reaction. But you can if it's just one game or one. So at what point do you just tell yourself, hey, I just need to make great shots?
I believe that when it's in a situation like she was, she had one shot, and ball change was not an option at that point because we didn't know what her balls were going to be doing. And she was playing a part of the lane that if she moved, she was going to move, or if she switched balls, it could have been a big four or whatever. So you have to analyze that she can make a really good shot at that moment. I personally am that way. Like, it depends on the moment, and if I'm grinding because I'm trying to just stay on TV, I can make a way up or down, really. So you just kind of stay with the ball and just go for it. But if you really feel in your gut that ball is out and that you need to make a change, and it's clear in your brain that you have the option and it's going to work, go for it. Because a lot of the times when you hesitate and you doubt yourself, you are missing out on popping a lot of big numbers as well. It helps me a lot when Joe is out there as well, because I'm a grinder, but I know I can also strike a lot. And sometimes I have to talk myself out of that grinding mode and, hey, you got to strike. Because 2 O's and 2 10s, when the field is shooting 250 over for one block, you got to be striking. So, but in situations like that, if I know I can just post it or I can change my eyes a little bit, I don't relate too much on the ability of a bowling ball. I believe that no matter what, I'm capable as an athlete to make the best shot. And I feel like we train for those moments too, especially when they call for a great execution. If I'm doubting myself and I don't think the ball is the right bowling ball, I'll switch and I'll make the same thing. You still have to execute, make the move that you need. But I feel like all that comes with a lot of training and trusting your ability and the mental preparation, especially on those pressure situations. You really gotta let go of all that's in your brain and simply perform, make the best shot that you can. And when you put that into perspective, I feel like a lot of the times it happens. It just flows. You throw it that much better. And I don't know if you've seen some athletes that if you were in striking and then you let go of all this, you have no chance, and they strike. Sometimes we think that we're throwing the ball great, but we got to make that much better shot. And sometimes we think that we're throwing a good shot and we can throw it actually better than we are. So I always pay attention to those little things, for sure.
I have to say, Rocio, when you were telling the story of, motivating Clara, I'm hoping to hire you in the future for motivational self-talks. I'm not going to be making big shots like that anytime ever, but maybe my next car purchase or something like that. And I just need to feel that confidence. I'm going to give you a call.
Okay.
But your experience with Team Colombia, actually, probably a lot of folks don't realize, goes back to when you were 15 years old, and you're actually the youngest player to medal at that event back at the 2003 event, silver in singles and I believe bronze in team that year. As a 15-year-old player, obviously you have all the experience in the world now, but as a young player going into an event like that, what was that experience like? A, just, being 15 years old and being on the world stage, and then B, performing well and, medaling in a few events too.
Well, to be honest, I'm really grateful. I have the parents I have. They made so many sacrifices prior to that one event, because I was part of the national team of Colombia as a youth member since the prior year. So since I was 14, I had only been bowling for 2 years, and I made the youth team when I was 14. My parents actually had to pay for me to go to the World Championships, the Youth World Championships in Thailand. And I did not bowl good. I bowled really bad. And I remember coming back, I trained with my psychologist. I had psychologist, physical trainer, and a coach that I used to travel to see every weekend. He lived in Bogota, and I live in another city 3 or 4 hours away. And I remember practicing a certain part of the lane, because we used to bowl on wooden lanes and all that. And I remember that when I came to Malaysia, they were wood as well. And I had to play kind of outside, and that's what I usually did. And my mom, I was actually sent on the morning squad because I was the newbie. They usually send you in the first squad to see how the escorts are playing and to see what's going on. And I remember that night before the event, the coaches were like, "Oh, you came here to learn, just get some experience." And my mom looked at me, because I said to her, they said I came here to learn as a 15-year-old, and I've been pretty competitive my whole life. So she goes, "No, you came here to win. You can win. You've seen it in all your visualizations. You have seen great performances, and I know you can do it. You are made to do great things." And I remember I woke up like that, and I shot my highest score ever in my career. and I actually led that morning block. The girl that finished there, which is Pirita from Finland, she actually got her and got 9 for me to go past her on the last game. I just kept filling frames, making shots, and the conditions were actually pretty hard because I remember after that we were struggling because they hooked so much. But it was a great experience. I remember we had to wait for almost 12 more hours because I needed to wait for 2 shifts to bowl. And there were Deandra, I remember Shannon. There were so many great names just bowling. And Sarah Glover, actually from England, she ended up going around me. She averaged 235 and she pretty much killed it. But there was nobody else. That's how hard the lanes were, that we bowled that morning squad and nobody else could go around us but her. And she actually bowled amazing. So to me, that was the point that kind of changed my whole career and my perspective. And I think I'm here in the US. I'm pursuing my dream as a professional athlete because of that moment. That moment changed all the momentum into big decisions later on. And knowing that I was capable of such things at a very young age just really made my parents support me and realize that I was meant to do great things and continue to bowl for many more years. And here I am 17 years later into the national team. I've been on the national teams for 18 years in a row now. So pretty cool. But it's just
when I introduce you on the TV shows and I say you're a 17-year member of Team Colombia, I always joke and say, yeah, she started when she was 4, because you look so young, right? But your mom sounds like a very smart lady. We had Tanya Raumenper on our show last week, on actually the Split and Board show, and she said something very similar. She said, you either win or you learn. So you're going to learn no matter what. So you might as well try to win, right?
Yeah.
But speaking of smart ladies in your family, I know your sister is, I don't know if she's already accomplished this or she was studying to become a brain surgeon. And I think
she's actually a brain surgeon.
She is now. She's officially a brain surgeon, right? So you come from a family of very smart people.
Yeah. My parents are both lawyers. They are retired, but my dad was an attorney and my mom was a judge. And and I'm a bowler. But that's where I got all the brain to make all the decisions.
Hey, bowlers are smart too.
Yeah, we have to be.
How can you keep track of all these balls and lane patterns and all this other stuff without being smart?
Yes, and that's something people don't give us credit for, I think. There is so much science that goes into the sport that without understanding ball reaction, and I feel like a lot of people say, oh, this person throws the ball really good. And I'm like, there is more than that. You gotta understand ball motion and how to play the lanes. And there is a lot that goes into the game.
Yeah, one of the stories, I mean, we talk a lot out on tour, and I always enjoy our conversations. But one of the times you well, at least when you're not yelling at me, but you told me the story of when you came over from Colombia to attend Wichita State and had to learn the language in addition to everything else. And I think that would be a really interesting story for people watching at home.
Yes. I did not know English very well. So when I won my first medal and I used to travel with the team, I did not speak any English. So if anyone from the Team USA or anyone or Canada or whatever wanted to talk to me, I will not talk to anybody. I will just go, hi, bye. And when I came to the US, it was actually hard. The first 5-6 months, I felt like I was pretty good at my English when I was talking to all my international friends. But when I had to come in contact with any like American, I would just like freeze. And on top of that, I studied communications. So believe me, my career, although it's not like the hardest career in the world, for me it was very hard because my grammar, everything, the punctuation, all that I had to learn from scratch. So there were a lot of things that I already knew how to speak and communicate, but writing was really, really rough. And my professors were not easy on me at all. And I remember that I was such a great student in high school, and Colombia has always been, I think, like our education is a little more strict than the US. So I was a straight A student, all that, and I came here and I started getting B classes, and some of my communication classes I didn't get the grades that I wanted. And I was like, I'm trying so hard, but they kept like, I feel like there was a barrier that I actually had to come to some of my teammates, Emily Fagan and Ricky Williams, and a lot of the girls that were studying communications. They help a lot in our class. We had like class meetings or whatever, study halls, and I would come to them, ask them about the professors, and they were pretty helpful for me. So we were a team on and off the lanes, you can say. We were helping each other to do great things off the lanes as well. And I'm grateful that they were my friends. And also George Lambert from Canada, he used to always harp on me and my English, and every time I said something wrong, he will say it right there and then, so I will not say it again anymore.
That does sound like George. So.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was huge. I mean, all of them I really appreciate because they were just honest, and I feel like they always wanted the best for me. So they played a huge role in helping me, accomplish everything, just because they helped me as well with my language. So I feel like, although I was from another country, by my second or third year, I was doing pretty good with my English. And people said that I speak well, but I still feel like sometimes I don't speak well.
Yeah, you do. But I mean, it's just people don't understand what a big deal that is. Like when I went to college, I was an English literature major. And I waited until my last year. You had to have a full year of a foreign language to satisfy the major requirement. And I waited until my last year, stupidly, and I hadn't taken French in 5 years when I tried to take it, in my senior year. And it was so that was the best C+ I've ever gotten in any class. But I mean, you were taking every class not even knowing the language.
Oh, no.
I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, people don't know how hard that must be. And then living in a country where you barely know anybody. I mean, it's just an amazing story in my opinion.
To be honest, I remember my first class as a student. It was sociology class, and I loved the professor because he was such a kind guy and super smart. But I remember I used to have to always sit in the front row so I will not get distracted. And my brain, after 30 minutes, I felt like I heard nothing was like coming in. It like shut down completely. So I used to read. I had to do so much just to be able to stay ahead. I felt like the moment they always say that when you start dreaming in another language, that's when you actually have learned the language.
Yeah.
And it took me.
I still haven't dreamed in French.
You have a long way to go.
Yeah, I know. Even though it sounds like it would be fun, but it never happened.
It's hard. I remember that I started dreaming when, like, 3 months into just being in college, and I started feeling better and more secure about knowing the language. And I didn't mention this, but the coaches used to make us read across the room. And so we work on our English as well. So Coach L and Coach B, we had, prior to a tournament, we had to read the rules of the tournament, the event. And I remember that I was always like super ready. I make sure I'm not gonna mess it up. So I didn't pay attention to anything else just to make sure I sounded good when I said it. They don't know this now. They know 11 years later, but that's how they also kept us, speaking, and they gave us a lot of opportunities to be well spoken as well. So all that came into being a part of that program as well.
That's just good practice in general, kids. Read the rules of the tournament you're going to enter.
Yeah.
When we go back and we watch some of those old collegiate films, two-time national.
They're not old.
They're not old, but
no, they're
they are old.
Let's be careful.
But that was kind of our first time seeing you compete on the American side for a lot of folks, and we saw that fire, we saw that passion. You wear your heart on your sleeve for every single shot. Did you always compete that way, or is that something you picked up? And one of the things I've always noticed on the PWBA tour, especially when you're on a show, there's not a better self-talker in the game than you. So kind of talk about that process for you, how that kind of gets you amped up or gets you in the right spot to make the best shots. And a four-time champion, it's proved off. So just what's it like being on the lanes, being that intense, the self-talk, just kind of all that put together?
To be honest, I never thought that I was that intense. But later on, I realized, man, I am very intense. But I think it's because I'm kind of an introvert, believe it or not. So I'm a lot. I practice so much, and there is so much in my heart when I compete. So I just want to make it fun and entertain, everyone watching. Like, I don't do it at all. Some people say, oh, she's intimidating. I don't do it at all to intimidate my opponent, because that's not who I am. That's obviously everyone that knows me off the lanes. If I'm not speaking, it's because I'm truly an introverted, and I'm pretty focused, which is different. Fred and I have talked about that. I have learned to calm myself down, because I used to be a lot more intense, and I used to have a lot of emotions. Actually, when I first started bowling, I used to scream, ah! Yeah. But I think that was actually, I think I picked some of that up just watching other players, and maybe I watch a lot of shows as well, because I used to watch the PBA and the PWBA when the classic shows on ESPN at home. And I remember watching Caroline Dolan-Ballard. She was super intense, and I remember Mika and some of these athletes, and I was like, oh, that's like me. I like that. So I always felt like striking and bowling for me means so much that as a person, I'm pretty forward, and I said things as they are. And I feel like that's honesty. I feel like I'm honest when I'm bowling. Bowling means so much to me that I'm like, this is my time to enjoy. I practice so hard. I'm just having so much fun here. And I like to talk myself up just because I don't talk to people. So I talk to myself, and I just remind myself that you work for this. Because sometimes our brains can be talking ourselves down. And I think that happened to me a lot last year, because I doubted myself so much from my health, and I kept saying no. And I remember Connecticut, I started a 170 game, and then I won whatever, follow 180, and I was like, what do you come here for? You come all the way, you spend all this money, and you're not gonna make the cut. Come on, you got this. And I remember that sometimes you have to be hard on yourself, and you have to awaken yourself a little bit, because we get into that, oh, I'm just going here, like, it's okay. And I'm not that type of player. So a lot of players can be quiet, but I feel like sometimes they can explode really hard, or they're just trying to hold on to all those emotions. I feel like the moment I let go of those emotions, I'm back and I'm pretty calm. So I'm pretty chill every time, because I'm just intense. But then I have learned with many years of working with a psychologist to calm myself down. And that's just part of me of releasing that adrenaline as well. So it's always been a part of me. I'm a pretty intense human being. I'm the type of person that um, will run if I see somebody struggling. So that shows when I bowl as well. Like, I've had a lot of experiences where someone was in a bad situation and nobody will help, and I will go do something. That's just who I am. So I think that shows also in how I am as an athlete. I'm just very honest, very passionate, and I feel like I don't know how long I get to bowl anymore. So I might as well enjoy it, because I have been in a lot of events I sometimes don't enjoy it. I cry and I don't like that. So why do you want to be like that? You want to have fun and enjoy it. And if you don't bowl good, at least you're keeping yourself positive and motivated, and you can learn more from that than getting upset. I have had that conversation with Jimmy Callahan. Believe me, he's had me keep it cool, girl, keep it cool, don't get upset, because I can get upset as well, and it never leads to anything good. So I rather be that chill, cool, and then release my intensity and come back and calm down.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about that. You know, I'm a big fan of tennis and Roger Federer, and if you ever watch Roger Federer play, he never shows any negative emotion. The only emotion he'll ever show is positive. And so, in my opinion, the impact that has on your opponent is that, when he's playing well, he's letting you know it, and it's not good for you. and then when he's playing poorly, he doesn't give them the satisfaction of adding to their excitement over the fact that he's not playing well. Is that something that, bowling's a little different. Obviously you really only have head-to-head when you're on television. But when it gets to television, do you think it through that way, or is that just the way you behave on television, extension of that philosophy, that you have during the rest of the week?
So ideally, my ideal performance should never have me losing it. So I'm actually, and I want to say this to the audience, because I'm not proud of myself when I lose it at a tournament. And I am pretty honest with my friends and the people who watch me. And if I am bad, or if I said something, I completely come back to them and I say, I'm so sorry. I was out of alignment. That's not okay. That's not acceptable. That's not a good behavior whatsoever. And I feel like if I have a kid right now, or he was throwing a tantrum, I will be the first person to take them out and say, you don't want to be here? Okay, let's go. You're not doing this, because it's not good sportsmanship. And I feel like when people do that just to get your opponent crazy or whatever, that's not okay either. Even if that's part of the mental game. I have talked to many psychologists, and if that's what you need to do to win, then you have an issue, because then I will never feel good about myself if I'm trying to talk you out of performing good. I know that's part of doing things and playing, but as a human and with my values and my core values, those are not okay. Because in a let's say I didn't bowl and I was in just working, and if I'm trying to do something that is gonna harm you, you will not like that. So it's the same in our sport. I feel like you have to control what you can control, and everything else, just don't mess with that. It's just not cool. So I feel like if I ever have lost it in a competition, and one time I was out of alignment with one of the reps, I came back and I said, I'm so sorry. It's not your fault. It's my fault. I'm just upset, and you should not be my punching bag. Never. And no one deserves that. And I feel like if I ever do that, I come back to them and I apologize from the bottom of my heart, because that's not okay. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I feel like you should always perform and keep it chill. And if you are excited and you get really pumped, cool. That's awesome. Just come back, cool down. If you get upset, just don't throw a tantrum. I just laugh every time people do it, because I just feel like it's a little immature. But whatever, they won't need. It is what it is.
Yeah, unfortunately, I've been known to throw a few in my bowling days. Luckily, I'm not good enough to bowl anymore. So that doesn't happen.
Now, when we talk about passion and inspiration from your game, as a 4-time champion, you've won over 3 seasons, some great victories on TV. But when JT kind of referenced it earlier in the podcast about there's a moment before TV shows, before the CBS Sports Network's light goes on, that JT plays kind of a lead-in video for the crowd, and that involves your speech from your win at the 2017 Sonoma County Open. Going to have a quick follow-up, but for the folks who may not be familiar with that, we're going to share that real quick. We'll get some shots in there too. So, but definitely an inspirational win on a pretty brutal lane condition as well.
Yep.
She came through in last year.
Intensity.
On a spare. Wow, 10 down. ROCIO RESTREPO.
That had to be one of those let's just make good shots situations, right? With how tough those lanes were.
Oh man, that event, I'm not kidding. We were practicing on the pair prior to these matches, right?
Really hard.
Well, I'll let you guys.
A lot. I did for many times, but I always found a way to come back as stronger. Don't ever give up on your dreams. Is as long as you have faith and you have the right people around you and surround yourself with positive people, it's gonna happen. And you can't win if you quit. So don't ever give up your dreams, and always work hard, and remember to treat others like you want to be treated, and be awesome every day. Just thank him upstairs, he always has a plan, and it always works out if you believe.
She inspires me. I'm not a kid.
I'm gonna cry.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah.
That was awesome. I mean,
yeah.
what made well, Carolyn did, she kind of set that up,
Yes.
but she didn't tell you what to say. What?
No. No.
Why then, for you to come out with all that?
Well, we were, so prior to that, I remember Fred had been struggling with his health. He had a few heart surgeries, and I remember right at that moment, he wasn't feeling so good. And I remember I woke up that morning and I said, I'm bowling for him today. And I've always done stuff like that. I remember in another opportunity, I had the opportunity, when I bowled the women's championships, when I set the second highest record, I remember I was working with Jason Guess. Back then I was represented another company, and he happened to had just lost his job, and I felt pretty bad for him. And he was just so kind to me and so helpful all the time. I'm like, I'm gonna bowl for him. And that day I shot huge numbers. So I always know that, when it really means, a performance really means something to me, I kind of put on a show. And I think that's why I'm so passionate, because I know my parents love to watch me bowl. They get so pumped when I'm bowling good, and when I'm bowling bad, they are just, oh, come on, you got this. So we are all like super animated. And so I feel like that moment, especially, people don't know this, but more than all the trophies that I can have, I bowl for those moments where I can speak to the audience. And I know that my English is not perfect, and I'm thinking, and so many things are going on, but I want the younger generation to know that there is hope, and that life is not that easy, because they see us on a stage and they want to be like me, or they want to have what I have. And I tell them it's not all pretty. Like, I don't wake up and everything is figured out in my life. I actually have to go fight for everything. I have to wake up like train, and when I'm sick, I have to take care of myself. My family is not really here all the time, and it's tough. I'm alone. I came to a country where I don't have family to go back. So I have a lot of friends, thank God, that have helped me throughout the years, and I have people I can speak with. But we all fight our battles, and I feel that all you get to see is those great moments, but we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And to me, when someone close to me is suffering or is having some issues, I really want to make it about them, because it's not about me. In the end, it's never been about me. It's just about making an impact in the younger generation and teaching them, especially nowadays with so much social media out there. We want to be positive role models. We want to be people that they feel close to, and to be that way, I have to be as honest and as sincere as I can, and that comes on and off the lanes with everyone that I come in contact with. So that's why by wearing my heart on my sleeve pretty much, and just putting my emotions out there, it just shows them too that we do struggle sometimes, and there's so much that goes on that we don't get to see. So those performances mean so much more to me. Same as Minnesota, a lot of people didn't know. That's when all my health started happening. The struggles started happening. I almost withdrew from the event because I was limping the whole time. I took a pill that they gave me. Thanks to Neil. I had to take something for the pain, and I felt better. But right after I was done winning, the next day I could barely walk. So all those things are situations that we don't tell everyone, because it's part of our private lives as well. But a lot of bowlers and a lot of athletes do struggle. We just want to keep it professional, and we want to keep it good for all of them out there, because this world is so full of negativity. I feel that we want to be the best we can be, so we can be ambassadors of hope to the world. We want people to come up to us as, hey, this person is motivational, this person has something good. And I don't necessarily want anyone to be anything like me, because that's not who I am at all. I just want them to not give up, to have hope, that they can dream as high as they want. And I have to remind that to myself as well, just because sometimes we can be too hard on ourselves and we don't believe. And I feel like that's part of what that whole speech was about, and just keeping us real.
Yeah, I mean, Thomas Edison said, success is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. But people only want to talk about, the moment you had the idea, and then the moment you actually, delivered it and it came true. Yeah. But one thing I liked about the speech also was you talked about your faith in there at the end, and talk a little bit about what that faith does for allowing you to keep getting up as, when it's hard, when you get injured, and how does that play a role in what you've been able to accomplish?
Oof, to be honest, I don't talk a lot about the faith, just because a lot of people are non-believers, and I'm pretty respectful. But I also I want people to respect that I believe and I have faith in something that's bigger than I am. And this world needs hope. And I feel like if I can find it in something that is in God, but in me, for myself, is Jesus, that I know that I have a savior that died for me on the cross, and that's the highest price that someone could ever think, ever made for us. Like, you died the worst death, pretty much. So it makes me humble to know that I don't have to pay for all the bad stuff that maybe I don't think I do, but I know I'm not that good. And that goes for, all of us. As humans, we think that we're great, we think that we're perfect, and that's being arrogant as well. We don't deserve a lot of the things that we think that we deserve. So for me, when I get the opportunity to be on a stage, and God allows me to do something big, and I want to make him proud, because I want to make him, I'm here representing you in this arena. And I feel like bowling is tough, because there is we're on top today, and then tomorrow we might miss a cut, because that's just how it is. It's all about ball motion and all that, but keeping myself real. And I feel like the biggest thing, somebody told me one time, and it took me a while to understand, bowling, God doesn't care about bowling. And I said, why wouldn't he care about bowling? Of course he cares, because he tells me my character, all the bad things that might happen to me can be impacted through bowling and people and stuff like that. So how is he not caring about my bowling? He does care. It's just people don't understand that good things happen to good people, but also bad things happen to good people, and is vice versa as well. And I'm not here to determine that. I'm just here to be able to deal with my fear and with my situations in a better way through my faith. So the things I'm going through, what I've been going through, my health, I guarantee you that if I did not have that in my life, I would have probably been depressed. I would have probably been, I don't know, drinking. I would have probably been doing drugs. And that's just reality, because that's what people go to when they don't have anything to hold on to. And I feel like when I hold on to my faith and when I give testimony of that, I am telling them that no, it's not easy, and it's not supposed to be easy. And as a Christian, it's not supposed to be easy either. It's not a perfect life, but it's easier because I can deal with a lot of things, and I'm not supposed to be like everyone else. So I also have to be very careful and watch what I say and my actions. So believe it or not, being a Christian and putting that makes me vulnerable. And it makes me to be criticized, and people that don't believe are going to be questioned. And all the actions that I actually do, they are judging them. So that's why it's not easy. So I say, it's okay. I'm able to carry that cross because I can be different than everyone else. So that's huge in my life. It's always been. I come from a Catholic family. My whole entire life, and this is for people that maybe don't know me, my whole entire life I have known God. I have not gone one single day that I remember in my brain without knowing that. And I have seen the good, and I have seen the power of Him, and it comes into my bowling as well. I have a pretty strong connection with my spiritual side when I bowl. And that's something I pretty much just discussed with my psychologist, but it plays a huge role. And I feel like a lot of my power comes from a bigger being than myself.
I'm just amazed that somebody said that God doesn't care about bowling, because that's just the most incorrect statement I could ever imagine.
Well,
does he know about stone eights and blower 710s, and
I know.
Who else would you blame for that if it weren't God?
Well, I don't know. I mean, a lot of bowlers blame God, and I get a little upset. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was a non-believer. I can't really say, but it is what it is. He keeps proving me that he does care, because every time that I go against his will, he puts me in another direction, and I end up going the way he wants me to go. So no matter what, it's like, okay, if you want me to go the hard way, I'm here. That's what kept me going last year, because that's how it is. That's how life is. It's not a straight line. It's a lot of bumpy roads and hard, but it's so much more worth it when you make it. Absolutely.
Well said, Ro. We talked about that particular win leading to that speech. There's one other win that I would like to just kind of get a perspective from. It was in the 2016 season. It was tough. It wasn't the prettiest win we've seen out there, but it was still a win in St. Petersburg against Lindsay. Lanes were tough. Lanes were brutal. Your combined score was 299. Dasha had 300 on TV alone this year. But you know, at the end of the day, you did what you did what you had to do to get the win. So what's it like walking away with a victory when they're that tough, and you know, maybe you didn't feel you performed at your best? You know, just what was that experience like coming away from that? You know, obviously it was your second title, so that was awesome. But at the same time, that 165 to win, definitely a little different. But tell us a little bit about that experience.
Well, to be honest, I remember I complained to Joe after the US Open because I bowled really good, and that happens when we used to have the finals right with the majors, so they were pre-recorded, and I had bowled so good, and I was in the top 5, and I fell out of the TV show during match play. And I remember that everyone, I don't know, but everyone, when they bowl against me, they shoot 250. So I have a hard time bowling match play because everyone is like, I'm gonna beat her, so I have to shoot 250, and I'm struggling here to shoot 230 or whatever. So I kept losing all my matches in 190s, and I needed 195, and I shoot 193 or something like that. I'm like, okay, can't make any ground. I'm like, I can't win anything. And then I put it aside, on this show. I knew the lanes were gonna be hard just because the US Open pattern was underneath, and then all the other shows, and a lot of people use a lot of surface prior to our show, so that memory was on the lanes, and the lanes were hot as well because of the show. So all these things, I want the audience to know that we try our best, and the PWBA has done everything in their power to make our shows better. They have invested in a lot of new cool things. So our shows, if you guys have noticed, in the past years, the scores have been higher, and it's because of what they've done to make us look as good as we are. So some of these events didn't do any justice to us players, and they understood that. So it was tough. It was one of the hardest events, not just because of me. I also felt for Lindsay. Lindsay had an amazing performance, and she bowled really well. We got to cross together in St. Petersburg. We didn't get to bowl there. We're in another house, like 2,000 miles away from where we qualified. And unfortunately, that pattern played really tough in that house, and that house did not play very well as you started moving deeper. And those pairs, I remember we didn't really bowl on them for the qualifying of the US Open. Mm-hmm. So there was so many variables that don't actually help. And I remember that everyone was trying to stay right in practice, but the right for me looked so bad. So I kind of moved a little inside and tried to round it and roll it. And I remember bowling against Kelly, and I had a couple Brooklyns, and I didn't get to drill any bowling balls because somehow my equipment, it was not drilled correctly. So I could not throw any of the newer stuff. So I had to make it work with what I had, which is what I was telling Jason about. You got to make it happen. Well, that was one of those days where I don't have any more options. So I need to go back to my ability as a player. Thank God the coaches at Wichita didn't give me a lot of equipment my freshman year. So they made me prove my versatility. Sorry, coaches. So I started... I remember against Kelly, I was just trying to swing a big ball. I was using an Alpha Crux at that moment. And then I remember I needed a mark to beat Kelly. So I went high again because I was getting so close to the ball return, and I'm using one of our biggest bowling balls. So I made this pair, went Brooklyn to beat her by 1. I'm like, okay, now where do I go? Because Lindsay came in and she used another big ball, one of our bigger balls back then, with a lot of surface. And I was like, oh, this is going to be rough. And in fact, it was so hard. I remember turning back to Joe because he was there to watch me. And I said, I'm just going to grind. I think she's not going to keep on striking because I was confused, and I knew she was confused because she's an aggressive player and she was trying to roll it and swing it. And I think it was also her first show if I'm not mistaken, since we were on tour. So I'm sure she was nervous as well. I had the opportunity to be on TV more that season. So I took that into my advantage. And, I'm a grinder. Like I've said, I won one of the hardest events on tour that's next year.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, just shoot spares, keep it simple, just leave makeable spares. And after we started struggling, like after the fifth frame, I kept splitting. I'm like, okay, I'm trying too hard. Just take your hand out, leave makeable, shoot the spares. That's what you know how to do. Because you are not going to shoot 240 on this. They are impossible. And it was hard to get my brain to think that. But I felt like that change of mind really got that win. I'm like, it doesn't matter if you shoot 160 or 150. And I think after that, bowling against the guys is really opened up my mind to that, because I see them shoot 120 and they still walk like they are the best thing in the world. Like that's so I'm like, well, now I'm gonna own my 140s every time.
I remember after that show, it was the last show of the day. We did 4 shows, and it's exhausting. I mean, I was wiped out, and I came over to congratulate you, and I've never seen somebody so unhappy after winning a title on the men's tour or the women's tour. You just like collapsed into my arms, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe what we just did there. And it was just like, we were just exhausted. It was just like that was one of the shows when we got back together at the end of that season where we said, we can't do this anymore. we gotta have the show, just one show, and it has to end in the center where we had the tournament. That show was really rough, but the fact that you won wasn't surprising, because you just understood the situation, right? I mean, you just said, hey, I've got this bowler who I'm bowling. She's nervous. She has no ball reaction. I probably only need to shoot 170. I'm just going to do what I have to do. But it wasn't fun.
Oh, no. And to be honest, I have learned, although it's a little late to learn, because I learned that last year, that we want to just have fun when we're bowling. We want everything to go well, and we don't learn to kind of deal with the bad moments as well. And they are part of the process. So now when I'm bowling a little bad, or I'm shooting a bad score, I tell myself, you're not bowling bad. You're not matching up. Now, when you match up, make sure that you deliver and make good shots. But I have learned to separate the scores so much, because a lot of the times the scores won't allow you to get to where you need to get. I had some performances in St. Petersburg. I remember I was in the show and I shot 108. Don't ask me how I shot 108. And I was like, after that moment, 108? Who shoots 108? And I remember telling my friends. Yeah, and then but what people don't know is I shot 108 and then I shot 200 over the next 5 games. It just happens. I mean, I wasn't trying to shoot 108. I just didn't understand the ball and ball, the ball reaction. The lanes were a little tricky for me. The angle that I was trying to play, I got confused. And all that plays a huge role in your brain. But what I did after is what I took from that event. I'm like, yeah, you shoot 108. And then guess what? You came back, shot 200 and some over, and you gave yourself a chance. If you're a quitter and you just leave and get upset, you will not have done what you just did. So just give yourself a little pat in the back, and bring it on. And next event you'll be fine. And I feel that all those performances, although last year it didn't work out the way I wanted to, I feel like as an athlete, that's part of growing as a person and as an athlete, and learning and understanding those situations. I have learned to understand that those bad moments happen, but I also learned that when you have it, you make the best of it. And I feel like that was huge for me last year, especially when I came back. I'm like, if you have it, don't hesitate and don't double gazette, no second gazette, and I felt like that led to a lot of great performances afterwards. And I was actually looking forward for this season, but COVID-19 had some
Yeah.
other plans.
That's
So,
it.
yep.
You talked about looking ahead to this season, and obviously still a long time to go in your career here. But what are some of your future goals? With the PWBA tour and international competition as well. Are there still a few bucket list events you'd like to take a gold medal or two home in, or just kind of looking ahead to the future? What are those goals for you?
So I want to be honest. Internationally, I have gotten to that point where obviously you want to win individually and want to win this and this, but I have won everything. I'm honest. Like, I have won 3 as doubles, Pan American Championships, Central American Championships. I have medals. Like, I can show you here all these things, and this is not even my collection. I have over 500 medals I won on tour. Obviously, there are events that I want to win, and I'm working towards that because I feel like my future with the PWBA is bright. I will support the PWBA as long as it's here. Obviously, as a woman, I also want to start a family at some point, but that's not gonna stop my competitiveness and not going out there. It's not gonna be as many events, especially the first few years. If I have a baby, if God blesses me with a baby, I hope. But I see myself competing as long as the PWBA is around. I just will always support it and will always be there as long as I'm allowed to, because this is what I do for a living. Right now with the COVID-19, I'm gonna be honest with you and with everyone out there watching, I don't feel like bowling yet. I feel like it's a little premature to be competing, and I respect everyone that is doing it. I have a lot of respect for everyone that competes. I do have a sister in the medical field and my husband as well in the medical field, and they don't feel safe, and I don't want to make other ones around me sick as well. I don't go out much. I'm usually, like I said, I'm introverted. I have friends, but I try to stay away from most people. If people are traveling, I'm pretty reserved in that aspect because we have like a silent virus. There is so much media out there that is telling us that is not true, and we know people that are dying. I personally don't know someone that has been affected tremendously from the virus, but maybe it's because I have been blessed so far and no one around me has gotten sick. But I fear for those who have it and the friends that might get affected, or myself. So I try to protect myself and everyone around me because that's all I can control. Hi, Christopher. I know I want to be back on the lanes. But so I love watching people bowl, but to be honest, it makes me a little unease when I see people not wearing masks, not keeping social distancing. I feel like as a community, we have a responsibility as well. So I understood, part of why the PWBA was canceled as well. I'm hoping that maybe we can compete towards the end of the year, maybe when we know more. But I think I've seen so many side effects from the virus in as well that are coming out later on. So I just feel like it's a little premature. So I don't really know what I'm gonna do this year. I'm hoping to compete at some point. I'm working on my game right now. I had to make a little stop for a few weeks, but I'm back on full force right now. So I'm giving myself that time to regroup, and hopefully I get to travel more with Colombia, the national team of Colombia. But I'm hoping we have a great 2021 season. I'm hoping that a lot of businesses as well survive because this virus has hit us pretty hard, and I fear for the bowling community as well. It's tough, and I feel like as a professional athlete, I can only pray that things get better, and that as a professional athlete, I can inspire others to continue to pursue and just wait. This is a moment of wait. We have never had this, like in 32 years of my life, I've never had a virus where if I have to stop, maybe it was a time to reset, to see things from a different perspective, to think of others. And that's how I see it. But I can't wait to be out on the lanes. I had so many plans of traveling internationally. Well, not happening. So we don't know what's going to happen. But I just hope that when I do, I'm ready to make the best decision and one that is not going to affect anyone around me. I know last year, and I said this from experience, I went to Thailand and I came back extremely sick with so many of the symptoms that are with like COVID-19 related. It might not have been that, but it was something, probably the flu. And I don't want to contaminate anyone, especially when we're exposing ourselves. We have so many points of contact with so many different people. It's just tough to know what you're bringing in and bringing out. So I hope for the best, and I hope that we can continue to participate in events, but when it's definitely a lot safer and we have the measures to have people safe. I feel like that was one of the biggest decisions for the PWBA this year, which I agree now that I see it in more of perspective. I see that this is getting worse. Like in Colombia, it's just now peaking, and they've been quarantined before, and they started letting people out, and now it's getting out of hand a little bit. So as they started to get people back in, which is unfortunate that we don't have a vaccine or anything. But until we are safe and the bowling alleys and the people are conscious, I feel like I'm not safe yet to go out. But I just want to bowl. I want to bowl as long as I can. I'm probably going to be one of those ladies when I'm 70 going to the PWBA.
I like it.
If it's still around. So
Yeah, but you'll only look 40.
yes, and I'll be throwing a 13-pounder. How you doing?
Any final thoughts before we wrap this one up?
No, I just want to say thank you guys for having me. To all of the youth out there, I know you guys are impatient to bowl. Just take this time to learn and improve, to change your games and get better. That's what I'm doing. There is so much more and so many bigger things that are coming on. A little stop right now is not gonna make a difference. It's not gonna change anything. The fact that we can compete right now, but it's gonna be huge later on, and the impact that we're going to have in the future. This is gonna make us better, and I hope that we are all learning from this situation. I know I have learned a lot, and I have been fighting some demons as well, but it's been a great experience so far. I thought at the beginning it was a little hard, but now I'm thinking a lot more about how I make an impact in others people's lives as well. And I have a few things coming up soon, like in my social media as well. So stay connected. You can follow me, ROCIO RESTREPO, any of the platforms, Twitter, not TikTok. I haven't figured that one out yet.
Why not?
Me neither.
I'll have to hook you up with my son. He seems to be an expert. Yeah, but...
I'm not young enough, I think. Believe it or not.
Any other things you're working on or like to promote before we close it out?
No, that's it. Make sure that you guys continue to follow the PWBA. I know that we don't have a tour right now, but you can always go back and sign up for Bowl TV and check all the past shows. You can see performances like what we just showed, or performances like back in 2015. You can see how even us as players, we have developed our games. Like if you go watch from the beginning of the tour to where we are now, you can see all the improvements that we've made. So that's pretty huge. And you can always learn. Right now is a huge time for us to learn from watching. People don't realize that you learn so much from just watching TV and media, not TV, but the media and everything that we put out there. Our PWBA athletes are pretty good at doing and doing all that social media and keeping everyone posted. I've been slacking off, but it's because of some issues I was having. But I'm back on full force right now, and I'm happy to be sharing some good things. And hopefully next year, you guys can see all the fruits of all that hard work.
I'm sure we're looking forward to it.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, have a great rest of the week. And by the way, we're going to be showing that match tomorrow on PWBA replay. So if you want to stop by in the chat, you can
Sure.
give some insights into how to bull 190 on an impossible condition.
Oh man, yeah, and it seems like I made a lot of shows that were really hard, or maybe I'm just making the names hard. Maybe it's me. I don't know.
Yeah, but you seem to win, so they must be hard for other people too.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Rocio,
All right,
thank you
guys.
again. Take care. Be
you.
safe.
You too, guys. Bye-bye.
All right, JT.
Another fun.
We're back to our 90-minute waves.
Yeah, I know. Another awesome show. You know, the thing that strikes me about Rocio is how smart she is. I mean, she comes from a family of very smart people.
Mm-hmm.
Her sister's a brain surgeon, so it doesn't get any smarter than that. And I'm sure if Rocio had wanted to go that route, there's no doubt in my mind she would have been one of the best at it. No matter what she would have chosen, she would have been the best at it. She's got the right attitude. She works hard. And you know, she's just a pleasure to be around. So it was nice getting a chance to talk to her and kind of sharing that with the rest of the world. You know, we get to see it, you know, when the tour's going on a weekly basis, but it's nice, you know, for so many other people to get to see, you know, what makes her tick. So it was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Very inspirational as always. Always look forward to talking to Rocio for that moment alone. JT, a quick question I wanted to bring up. Forgot about it, but now I remembered. Arguably, you're the one who put together that video that runs before the shows. Was there ever a doubt of any other speech you were going to have than that one?
No. I was, you know, trying to make a new kind of sizzle intro video for the tour so that we could play for the crowd before, you know, the show started to get them all excited. And I just said, we got to work that in. So we worked it into, you know, The Greatest Show, from the movie and musical, The Greatest Show. And so it just worked perfectly with that song. And, you know, we still play it before the show starts to get the crowd fired up, and it never fails. So, yeah, there hasn't been anything like that I've seen, you know, since the tour started. So it was a special moment. Absolutely.
Coming up this week on our podcast schedule, we'll be back Wednesday here for the PWBA podcast. Two-time U.S. amateur champion and collegiate standout from McKendree University, Brianna Clemmer, a player who would have been a rookie this year. We're going to talk to her and get some thoughts. We had Caitlin Johnson on last week, so kind of a recurring theme here maybe for a little bit in the future. On Thursday, Inside the OC, Matt Cannizzaro and I, we're going to break down the end of the OC Bracket Challenge, which took the top 32 moments in Open Championships history. Folks got to vote on. Been a lot of fun discussion. We're down to the final two, I believe, right now, and we will know the winner by Thursday's show. So that's going to be super fun and super great. And I know we have a few other shows. You mentioned the PWBA replay with the Sonoma County Open, but what else do we have on store, JT?
Yeah, really great conversation with Cameron Hurwitz on Splitting Boards this week. We're going to talk to him about, you know, the U17 championship in 2019, you know, in addition to some other things. And he's a very interesting young man. You're not going to want to miss that. And then another a Throwback Thursday match of the week this Thursday. So another full schedule of stuff here on Bull TV.
That's the way we like it. All right, folks, for our special guest, Rocio Restrepo. For Jason Thomas, I'm Aaron Smith. Thanks again for joining us on the PWBA podcast, episode 31 in the books. We'll be back Wednesday. Be sure to check out all those great shows, check out the schedule, and of course, tell your friends, subscribe, do cool things like that. So everyone out there, be safe, be well, and we'll see you soon right here on Bowl TV.